It's all right. All right. So this is my third time presenting this presentation. And honestly, every time I've done it, I have a lot of excitement, and I'm nervous because of how excited I am for Palombi. So hopefully that excitement kind of comes out, because we are dedicated to trying to create an experience for our incoming Palombi students that gives them a lot of opportunities, as well as our current students. I think it's going to help both of them. And we do understand, and we said this at the Curriculum Advisory Council, we also talked to teachers about the same thing. We understand the feeling that the elementary students are going to lose something in terms of their some of the leadership type of skills, maybe some other different opportunities at the elementary. But if we don't do this, they're going to lose on a lot of great opportunities by going to this model. So we're going to begin, and some of this stuff, it's kind of reintroducing ourselves. Maybe you guys don't know a lot about us, but we thought it was important that when we present this to staff and parents, especially staff that have not had us as principals, that we kind of give them an idea of who we are. Well, first, we love Palombi. We love our staff. I've said this a ton of times, almost ad nauseum, but I literally have not had a better staff than the one we have at Palombi. At first, my first 2 years was kind of rough, and I would say we are in an awesome direction with the consultant that we had, Deidre Stafford, with Leader and me. Everything's going really well at Palombi, and this is going to solidify it. So just so everybody knows, I was a PE teacher for 7 years. And in that time, I was an athletic director. I was also an assistant principal out in Prairie Grove for 2 years. And then I was the principal of an elementary building for about 4 or 5. I always get these numbers a little mixed up, because after 4 or 5, I had the pleasure of Dr. Zimmer letting me be a principal of 2 buildings, the middle school and the elementary. And thank goodness I was able to follow Dr. Zimmer to this wonderful place and be a principal of just 1 building where I can enjoy this age group that I really love. I have 2 children of my own, and it's important for people to know where we come from. And then Mrs. Cease is going to talk a little bit about herself.
Yes. So I started actually all my experience prior to this was in high school. I was a Spanish, French, math teacher. I started at Stevenson High School. I taught for 5 years, and then I was a dean for 8 years, and then a director of student services for 3 years. Then I left to be principal of a high school, a large comprehensive high school in Arlington Heights. And then I went to the district office and worked in the district office. And while I was there, I studied special education and ESL and bilingual and did all my coursework, and still have to take the LBS 1 test because it closed due to COVID in the spring. But as I was taking the coursework, I started talking to my husband about wanting to be a dean again. That had been my favorite job, but I wanted to, in my last 10 years of my career, this is my 24th year, make a switch to middle school, because if you take all the coursework, that if you want to make a change and be more impactful, it's at the younger years than at high school. And so I started looking for a dean position in a middle school, and I saw Palombi, and I applied. And I remember being in that interview and looking at Vic and Sandy in the interview committee and saying, this was the most comfortable interview I've ever been in. And it was because the teachers and the administration were really they just seemed honest and open, and it was a breath of fresh air. And so Vic offered me the position, and so I am there. This is my first year, and I love every minute of it. I agree with Vic. It is the most positive place I've ever worked in. And I'm loving every minute of it and cannot wait to have more students in the building. And on the personal note, I also have 2 children. They are 3rd grade twins, boy, girl.
And I think it's important that everybody knows that we work as a team between Angela and I, but we've worked on this whole process with so many different people, from the director of operations to the elementary principals to our own staff, and we're going to continue so. All right, and we base this on, it's from the Association for Middle Level Education. There are some belief statements that we feel strongly about, specifically these first three, where I believe that every young adolescent has the capacity to learn, grow, and develop into a knowledgeable, reflective, caring, ethical, and contributing citizen. Must have access to the very best programs and practices a school can offer. Must be engaged in learning that is relevant, challenging, integrative, and exploratory. And we really do believe that based on this presentation and the proposal that we put forth is that they are going to receive better opportunities here than ever before. As well as on the bottom of the slide here, you guys may have seen this before, but our community might not have. Dr. Zimmer, once we had some feedback from parents and some staff, reached out to surrounding school districts, and see, I can't see it because of my view on here. All right, saw that we had about 5 schools that had 5th through 8th grade configurations, 2 schools that had 6th through 8th grade configurations, and we were the only school that had a 7th and 8th grade configuration. And like I said to the parents, I mean, every community has different needs, but I do truly feel that our need now is to move 6th grade over. Okay, now I can. All right, so why did we develop this plan? And you guys might even have more background information than I do about this being on the facility committee as you are, but we did talk to staff and parents about the limited space in some of the elementary schools. That drove the facility committee to make some decisions, specifically Hooper having to use different closet spaces for teaching spaces, giving up administrative offices for small spaces. A lot of these buildings were developed before we had RTI and small group pullout, and therefore we're needing more space to be able to pull these things out. We do have available space in the middle school based off of our own knowledge and past history of Palombi, as well as the STR architect who did a study saying that we can have more kids in our building. And as you know, too, we had a climate consultant that worked with us that recommended to have 6th grade in the building. And our staff is yearning for the day when we could have those relationships for a longer period of time, because when they get to 7th grade, it's great. We love it. And then 8th grade, boom, high school's knocking on our door, trying to get kids to come over to them, which is a good thing for transition. But the kids are like already out of their mind, out of Palombi. So some of the background here is kind of involved to some degree. The admin team planning here in the middle is based on these 2 blocks on the sides. We surveyed parents, school board presentations, we surveyed staff, we surveyed students. We had many curriculum councils, including today, where we received feedback. We had institute day sessions for staff, surveyed the staff, and we made this plan based on all that information. And you guys voted to approve 6th grade coming over. All right, Angela?
Yes. So as the 6th graders come, they will be departmentalized, meaning they will be moving from class to class. They will not be staying with one teacher in one classroom all day. Can you go to the next slide, Vic?
Yep.
Thank
and you know, before you go to that slide,
yes.
There's one. We did offer 3 different options to parents, staff, and students. One was self-contained, where they had the same teacher, and we also offered a hybrid approach. But this is the approach that we went with based on the feedback we received.
So as the students come to us, their core programming will be English language arts, which would be 2 periods a day, math, which would also be 2 periods a day, and then they would have a period of science, a period of social studies, and then they will have social emotional lead time in their advisories during the day. And then also there will be leadership clubs generated by the students, implemented a couple of times a month during the school day. And then they will also have leader and me lessons throughout the year. We've talked a little bit about additional supports for the students because that is extremely important. And so there is an additional reading support and an additional math support. Read 180 is for students who need to build on their reading comprehension, their academic vocabulary, their writing skills. It's an extra period in the day. So students would still have 2 periods of English. So they're ELA 6, but they could also be in a Read 180 during one period, and that would take the place of an exploratory throughout the day. And then there's also math fundamentals, which is a 2-period math class. There's no additional time spent in a math class, but the class itself is a support. It moves at a little bit of a slower pace. The teachers use different strategies. They use realia, they use manipulatives in order to teach the students. The students are allowed to use notes on some of their assessments so that the students are really learning the skills, and the skills are retaught throughout the class. In addition to, in order to put students in these supports, we do have an RTI team, and it is led by Dr. White, and I work with the teachers, and it's our leadership team. We look at all student data. So we look at the FastBridge and the NWEA MAP data for both reading and math. We look at whether they have an IEP or a 504, or if they're identified as being an EL student. We look at whether they've been assigned some tutoring for math or for English, and whether that whole picture of the student, whether we would also recommend Read 180 or maybe a change in a math class. And then that those decisions are made as a team. We reach out to teachers for feedback so that we can best support the students. For next year, we are also implementing a new support for all students. It will actually be for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. It's going to be called Guided Study Hall, and it is a class for students needing additional support, both in homework and in content skills. Entrance into the course is made by recommendation from the elementary school staff or the middle school staff. The program focuses on the development of study and organizational skills. So students who need to build their executive functioning skills would be this would be a great recommendation for them. As they are working on those skills, they will also be working with a teacher who will be teaching them their self-advocacy, self-management, teaching them to reach out to their teachers, email their teachers, ask what the homework is, ask questions. And so it's a class definitely for students who need some help in their building their skills, but also for students who might be higher achieving students, but really lack that organizational skill, that self-advocacy skill. Our hope is to offer this almost every period of the day, at least 8 periods of the day, keeping the class at around 12 students per class, giving us almost around 100 students that could receive this guided study hall. And then they would work with the teacher all year long. Students can enter into the class at any time throughout the year, and they can exit at the end of a trimester if they are being successful in their classes and in their coursework. The students will also have physical education every single day, just like the 7th and 8th graders. And they will get 2 exploratory periods. Now, for some students, that exploratory might be a tutorial if they have an IEP. It might be guided study if that's the recommendation of the school in order to help support the student. But other year-long exploratories would be band or choir. There is a new exploratory for next year called Advanced Art, and it's actually for 6th, 7th, or 8th graders. It's for students who are very skilled in art. They would submit a portfolio to the art teacher in order to get into this advanced art class. 6th grade students can also take Introduction to Spanish, which is a great.
We lost Angela. Angela, did you go mute?
No, because she's freezing up too. It's all choppy.
Yeah.
And then there are additional 6th and 7th grade exploratory.
She also can't hear us telling her. telling her that.
I know, right? Can we mute her?
You can message her.
I could kind of finish up.
And can we have Angela turn off her video, and maybe that will help?
It might.
Okay, am I back?
Yes.
We can hear you, but maybe turn off your video, Angela. So
Okay.
it'll be better.
Okay. Is that better?
We'll
Yes.
just go in, Angela, we'll just go into the proposed 6th grade.
Yes, that's where I was.
Let me get that up. There we go.
Okay. So I've worked with the music teachers and the art teachers on creating this document. So we came up with some great exploratories for the sixth graders. The first three are a trio of drama and music classes, but it's not necessarily for the performer. It's for the students who enjoy music, but maybe don't play an instrument or don't want to perform on stage. So the first course is Rock and Roll History, the Influence of Teenagers, and studying how they have influenced rock and roll throughout the years. The second course would be a drama course. And then the third course would be popular music. So studying the music of the day and the impact that that culture has, the American culture has on music, and how the impact that music has on the American culture. Students could still take band all year, both woodwind and percussion, and choir all year as well. Our STEM exploratories, maker spaces is one, architecture is the other, and then video game design, which we think will really reach out to a lot of the students who maybe like to play video games outside of school, and now that can translate into a course for them. These courses can be taught by any math, science, technology teacher or engineering teacher. So they're really courses that are applicable to our students and achievable by the students. Art classes are our introduction to drawing and art exploration, which we do offer now, but we added a trio to that as well, graphic novel design. And graphic novels, when I was younger, they were comic books. Now they're called graphic novels. And it's, again, another thing that might attract students to the art classes. Maybe they're not specifically interested, never thought they were interested in art, but do love graphic novels and would like to learn how to design them. So that's just another hook, hoping to get students interested in the courses. Then there's that Introduction to Spanish, which is a trimester course. And then the guided study hall, which would be a full year exploratory. That one is not optional. If the schools, by looking at the data and getting feedback on the students, think it is an appropriate support for the students, then they do take the guided study hall. And this is just a draft of a master schedule that Dr. White and I have worked on. You can see the sixth grade teachers at the top. So we have an English language arts teacher in the first group and in the second group, math teachers, math honors, and math is split into another one. And then science, social studies. We also have our cross-categorical support listed there as well. So this is, you'll see in pink are some of the exploratories we're hoping to schedule into these periods. And then the other color, the purple color, I believe is still exploratories we are working on creating.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cece. And you're being modest. You basically run the RTI committee, so thank you for all the work you've done on that. We are going to talk about after-school programming for our kiddos. If sixth grade were to come over here, one of them is through interscholastic sports, and this is some of the comments we received. We've actually received these last year and again today. Currently, sixth grade, some schools with sixth graders will have them try out for seventh grade. So it's a sixth and seventh grade team, and then eighth grade, their own team. And these are the sports that we hold here right now. We did promise to parents in the last meeting that we can look into our conference to see if there's other options to have further opportunities for sixth grade students. Also potential intramurals. In the past, the school district used to bus sixth graders back to their elementary building to have that experience of intramurals. And I think that's a really good option for kids who don't think they can go to interscholastic sports or don't make those teams. At Palombi, we have the enrichment opportunities that the elementary does not have as much as we do. We have 4 different sessions of 6-week sessions, and we offer enrichments, things like French club, gaming, gardening, CPR, and so forth. And then Angela talked about the Leader in Me, which we're going to talk about a little bit more, which seems to be another big concern of parents is my kids are going to lose leadership opportunities. And we talk to them that we have everybody in the district is using Leader in Me. We have similar language, but we do have a little bit more flexibility in the middle school to develop a program that isn't happening right now, because Leader in Me has been tailored more for elementary. The middle school has been allowed to have flexibility to develop our own, and we were actually invited to present this, and I think you guys have heard some of this before, but we have boot camp just like the elementary does, 8 days of boot camp of learning your Leader in Me, your 7 habits, organizational skills, icebreakers, getting to know each other and their peers. We have lead lessons twice a month. So every other week, about 38 to 40 minutes, our teachers will rotate lessons. So teachers are having the opportunity to speak the language to our students. And then we have these great groups that our students have led. They've come up with these ideas. Groups like Yana, which is about mental health awareness, Stop Bullying, Endangered Species, helping the homeless. Lots of great opportunities for kids during our school day, and every single kid is involved. So I think it's a great experience for those kids. We also have the same thing where we want to have them develop ownership of their school, be proud of their environment, and we provide them with classroom jobs. Teachers work together about exactly what that's going to look like so that everybody has an opportunity to take part in the school. And then, do we want to play this whole thing, Sandy?
Maybe just a little portion of it, Vic.
And I think the point of this short little video, it's 2 minutes, we'll play a little bit, but it's to show that the students have taken ownership in their school, more so than before. It's all artwork done by them, all on Leader in Me, all about kindness and being leaders. Okay, and we have like ceiling tile. We have, I mean, every building I think in the district's done a great job, honestly, but just to show parents that it's ongoing at Palombi, just like it is at the elementary buildings. And thank you to all the teachers on the bottom of the screen that helped us with this, including Kim Shem, who's not mentioned. Moving on to the building plans that I think a lot of you are familiar with. Oh, well, one, before I even get to that, is, okay, last year when we talked about 6th grade, let me present this. We basically put them back where our staff said they were back when 6th grade was here in 2002. And that's what this map looks like. So we took off teacher names and we came up with different possibilities just to show everybody that we don't have to have a preconceived notion where kids need to be. We can have discussion and get feedback from everybody about it. So, you know, we put them in the middle of the hallway, although they're sandwiched in between 2 grade levels. I'm not sure if we like that, but we're just showing you that there are different options. We're not married to one necessarily, and they all could have pros and cons to them, but we want to make the decision that's going to be best for all our students. So lots of variety there. Obviously, we've done the study. We know that we can fit the grade levels in here. We have underutilized space here at Palombi, such as 4 health rooms that are underutilized, 4 SPED resource rooms that are used for tutorial, and then 2 other open rooms that will be able to fit those 10 rooms. And then we have some other small group space to further house the 6th grade. All right, building plan. So not everybody knows this, but we do have some great updates in terms of our art room. They are not very effective spaces right now. They need to be updated with more sinks, cabinetry, and to be able to facilitate the different types of art that we're going to have at Palombi. Our storage in the band is antiquated, it's old, and it was probably put together by someone who put a lot of hard work into it, but it's time to replace it. Bathroom updates, ever since I've been here, I've heard about how bad our bathrooms are. We've worked hard, honestly, in making some of the updates in certain bathrooms, but we're going to get further updates in the bathrooms, in the blue hallway, in our fitness rooms, and they will be ADA compliant finally. Also, we will have a chairlift that will be ADA compliant. There used to be one that used to go down to the band. That will be good. We've had some students and parents here who have had a difficult time getting around the building, so this is going to be good for everybody. Also, outside work. When power goes out at Palombi, you're kind of in trouble when you don't have a backup generator with a server that serves the district. Updates the HVAC system and a safer perimeter around the school. And I mean, when kids get up in our building. So there's going to be a new part to that building. The next summer, we will have kitchen renovations, which will address the serving lines and other issues that come with a 60-year-old kitchen. And then our locker rooms we have unused showers, looking at adding storage because we will be taking away storage for some of those bathroom updates. And if you've been in there before, you know there's some line of sight issues in that bathroom, which is kind of difficult for a middle school. So hopefully addressing some of those as well. All right, so numbers. I gave some numbers. This would be the potential enrollment for next year. On the left here, total of 785, and I put here in 2020 our current enrollment in Palombi is 586, and then I put the highest numbers that I could find before, like after 2002. I couldn't find any other numbers, honestly. But these numbers here, 784 in 2010 and 2011. That was with just 7th and 8th grade. So we're putting 3 grades in here around 785. We were able to do it with 2. There's plenty of space. Proposed staffing. This should look very similar. There might be some minor changes. We did talk about adding an administrator for the increase of evaluations and other kinds of programs that will be here. Having 10 6th grade teachers, and that showed on our schedule, an additional social worker. This is where the numbers might be a little different than before because we used actual special education numbers that we know currently. So the number increased from this. We have 2 SPED cross-cat teachers, 1 SPED resource teacher. We already have a reading resource teacher, but that was one of the things that parents were wondering, like, how am I going to get support for my 6th graders? So we just put it in here. That's not additional. That's just something that's really important, I think, to parents. We have a 1 to 1.5 PE teachers spot available, 1 art, 1 music, and 1 STEM. Also, Angela, I think, kind of quantified that our tech position here has been hard to fill, and we are turning that into a STEM position too. So we will I know when I got hired here, people were keen on getting a STEM lab, and I think bringing those further opportunities like that's going to help kids love science and math. And then, so the proposed staffing impact on here is 3.5, an increase to the district of 3.5 full-time employees. And just be aware that when we proposed this, we said that the budget would increase somewhere around $80,000, but that's also with in mind that special ed programming, students that are not here right now that are served outside our school would be brought back. So that was put into the original estimation. So plan timeline, teacher communication, this is everything we just did. We had a presentation to staff already, took feedback. They helped us develop this even further, this presentation. We just did the curriculum council, hoping to get more feedback from them. Hopefully we can move forward here because it's really important for staff of our district to know where they're going to be for next year and to be a part of the continuing planning that we're going to need to do to make kids feel comfortable and our staff. So hopefully in December, January, post positions, interviews, solidify schedule, further work on class descriptions, and then work on orientation plans for staff and students. And then focus on, in February, would be communicating staffing moves. And a lot of the orientation depends strictly on COVID and what we are able to do, but we will reach out in any old way we can, virtual, even if we have to have small groups, if we have to have a week long where we can do small guided tours and open up our building in the summers for like an open house. There's lots of different ways I think we can make kids feel right, including our own kids meeting with the elementary students. And then obviously teacher prep in April and August. And that is it. Any questions? And I'll stop sharing, or should I not yet?